Good morning, Vesta. I see Facebook is still making some changes, and I have to learn these. Hi, Jean. It's gonna do it again to me this week, where it's gonna be hard for me to follow the comments. So I don't know. Hi, Patricia. I'm going to try and do something else. I wonder if not interacting as myself, if this will come up a different way. It does. Okay, so I just don't want to go in as the chirpy card maker. Yay! Okay, I figured it out. Oh, Facebook does this to us all the time. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Carol. The first thing I want to say is my heart is going out to everyone who is in Ian's path. Not only the Floridians, but we have members here in the Carolinas, Georgia, Virginia. It's going right up into all the areas. So every member of the community group and who watch here, just know that we're all thinking of you. Being in Northwest Ohio, I can't even imagine what being in a hurricane is like. The devastation is enormous. The loss of life is so sad. So just know that we're all thinking of you. My brother-in-law and my family are okay. The town of Sebring did take quite a hit with a lot of rain last night. But geez, just the images that are coming across. If you've ever visited Fort Myers Beach, for example, the images, what you remember it looking like and what it looks like now are just way two different things. So keeping everybody in thought and prayer who are going to be going through what Ian is going to be dishing out. So I wanted to say that first and foremost. So good morning, Teresa. Today, hi, Nancy. Today, you know, when I was designing the card for today, you know, for me, sometimes it just takes years for a light bulb to go off. Hi, Joan. And it happened. It was like, oh my gosh, this one little change that I make in this card totally takes it from your wow to a wow. So I wanted to share that. And I know many of you are going to probably already know this, but it just, like I said, the light bulb just went off. And so I want to show you just how easy it is to take the same design, the same layout, but a few minor changes totally steps it up. So, Nancy, yes, it is so good to see you too. Hi, Judith. Judith, your grandson is a lineman in Florida. Bless him. Bless all of the responders who are going to help the people of Florida, the people of anywhere that loses power, so that they can get back to some comfort. And I hope he stays safe. Kathy in Central Florida, you're doing well. Oh, that's so good. So good to hear. Hi, Paula. Okay, good. I really appreciate our followers and our members giving us updates so that, you know, we know that you're doing okay. I know maybe it's not possible if you have no internet connection or it's spotty at best, but when you can, please let us know that you're okay, because we're all thinking about you. Well, I don't really have any news. Joan, I am so glad to see you here. I miss everybody in the Quilt Guild. Life has just been so busy, so give them my best, but I'm so glad to see that you're here. So today's card, it's going to give the impression that you did a lot of intricate cutting and, you know, half square triangles and this and that, but we're dealing with squares. And so this is a quick card. That one little factor that steps it up makes it even better. Hi, Michaeline. How are you? Okay, you're doing well in your area. Oh, thank you so much for letting us know. Thank you for sharing. So glad to know that you're okay. So let's get busy. I'm going to flip the camera around. Hopefully, Facebook lets me put it in the orientation that nothing is backwards. When I first was setting up for the Facebook Live, everything was backwards. And it didn't have the usual icons that I'm used to finding to flip things. I don't know how I did it, but I did. So if you just bear with me, hopefully this will all go really smooth. So we got to flip the camera around. Okay. So far, so good. And we're just going to move things in a little bit closer. Hope I'm not making anybody dizzy. Okay, now here we got to do the flip. Let's hope that Facebook lets me. Oh, here we go. How did I do it before? Oh, there's got to be a flip. This is really going to not... Oh, there we did it. Okay, I found the icon. I wish they would just leave things alone. I really, really wish they would leave things alone. And now I just got to move some things around. So that I have room for my trimmer, because we're going to be walking right through the trimming process, okay? Get that off of my screen. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let me move my paper over to the other side. I have my little cheat sheet here. There will be a PDF for today's live. I hope to have it up by tomorrow night, if not Saturday. So bear with me. Just trying to check on family in Florida and some other things that need taken care of. So the card we're doing today, I am featuring the Lovely and Lasting bundle. I love this punch and stamp set, and I love the designer series paper, which is called Lovely in Linen. It's boho hippie chic, and I love that kind of stuff. So that's what I chose to use for the card. Now the card that we're going to do is this one right here. So you see some half square triangles. That actually is just a square. And so we're going to use our squares, and we're going to create the illusion of some half square triangles. So this is going to be the layout that you will see when we take it from wow to wow. And I don't want to show it to you yet because I want it to be a surprise. Today is the last day of September. This is the September host code. If you see anything that I'm using that you like and would like to order, if you go to my online store, and if you would use that host code, then when I earn Stampin' Up! Rewards, I like to go in and purchase some little thank you gifts and send you something in return for placing an order with me. So that is the host code, and that ends at the midnight, wherever you are. So this is the card, and there's the back. Now what is really neat about this is I had you pick out 4 6x6 squares of designer series paper. We're going to pretty much use up all those 4 sheets on these 4 cards. So we're going to do what you cut and what I shared with you to have ready is what you would need to make the 4 cards, 2 each of each design. So you would have to scale that down if you were only wanting to make 1 card. But I thought that, you know, when you're cutting your cardstock to make a card base, you're already going to have 1 piece left over. So why not? Let's just make 4 cards and really give you some fun. So let's do some cutting. Again, I'm going to push my camera back some so that I have room for my trimmer. And I do have a new blade that I just put in my trimmer because I made the mistake and cut some magnetic, the magnetic sheets that you can get at Menards for over your air vents. And those are really good to use because they help keep your die cuts all in one place. Well, it nicked going through that material, nicked my blade going if I want to use it in a certain direction. So I had to switch mine out. So looking at the cheat sheet of mine, I had you pull out 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 basic white cardstock. The first one that we're going to do, that we're going to cut, is going to give us our card inserts. So a card insert, the inside of your card is 4 by 5.25. So we're going to put the left side of our cardstock on 4. And then we're going to move it over and do that again. Now the nice thing about the basic white is that it's thin enough that you can cut 2 layers at the same time. So if we put these together and now turn it so that the 11 inches is across the top, we're going to move it over to 5.25. And then move it over to 5.25 one more time. And we will have our inserts done. And you have a little bit of waste. So card inserts are done. Now we want to bring in the let's bring in the other sheet of basic white cardstock. And half of what you're going to have left over you can use for your stamping. I already went ahead and did some stamping. Ignore this one here. I am not going to use that. But we're going to put the 11 inches across the top. And what we want is we want 2 7/8 square. And so we're going to move the left side of our paper over to 2 7/8. 2 7/8 is between 2 3/4 and 3. To the left of the 2 3/4, you'll see a slightly longer dash, and that's the 2 7/8. So we're going to need 4 of these. I know I'll get 2 out of there. Let's move it over to 2 7/8 one more time. Again, this side here, save this to do all your stamping. Okay, so I need to get back, I need to get in camera a little bit better. Save this sheet to do all your stamping. And now we're going to put these together. Put the long side across the top, and we need to go 2 7/8 again, so that we have 4 of these. And here's some scrap, but I don't think it's not 2 7/8. I think it's 2 3/4. So you have those that you can use for stamping too. So we have our 4 2 7/8 squares of the basic white. Now bring in that solid color cardstock, a sheet 8.5 by 11. What we're going to do is from this, we're going to cut our band, and we're going to cut the layer that we're going to put our 4 squares on. Okay, so what we need is, the band is 1 3/4 by 5.5. So 1 3/4. We are going to need 4 of these, so it's going to take 2 strips at 1 3/4. And then 5.5, so we're cutting that 11 inches in half. 1 2. 3 4. So here are your 4 bands. I suggested that you emboss these, but if you don't have an embossing folder or a machine, that's okay. Just leave them as is. Set those aside. And now what we need are 4 squares that are 2 3/4. So 2 3/4. Set that scrap aside. You should be able to get 4 out of these if you don't go real heavy on your cutting. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that strip will give you your 4 layers here. Okay, so let's set those aside. And now we are going to cut this strip here of Designer Series paper is, let me find it, 2 3/4 by 12. Again, we can get 4 out of this strip, and you'll have some left over, just like an inch, I think. So 2 3/4, 2 3/4. I wanted to show you how to cut the paper. We don't usually do that. Usually I'm like, have this ready for tomorrow, and we'll get started. But I wanted to do the cutting. So you're going to have this little piece left over. And you've got your 4 squares that are going to sit within that piece of basic white. Okay, so that's those go together. If you want to put them in a little pile because you know they're going to be glued together, then go ahead and do that. Let's see. Now what's left to cut is our Designer Series paper. And I chose these 4 designs. Keep in mind that while you see 4 choices here, you flip it over, whatever you have chosen will give you some more options, okay? So I'm going to do 2 at a time. I have a brand new blade. I'm sure it'll go through the 4 pieces of Designer Series paper, but I'm going to do them 2 at a time. And what we're going to do is our first cut is going to be at, I believe it's 1 1/4 inches. So we're going to put 1 1/4 inches over here. Whoops. Just want to make sure that they're nice and straight. So 1.25 inches. Okay. And then we need the backing for our card, which is 4 inches. So we're going to just slide it on over to the 4 and get our backing. And then you're left with these pieces here, which you can cut down and you can use them on the inside of your card insert so that there's very little waste. So just set these pieces aside. Now let's go ahead and let's cut all of our 4 pieces. The first is 1.25 inches. And then 4. Again, you can use these for the inside of your card. Since we've got this piece on the trimmer, let's just turn it 1/4 of a turn and let's cut it at 5 1/4. Again, these can go on the inside of your card. Let's bring back in those other 2, put them at 5 1/4. Set those aside. Now we've got our 1.25 inch strips. We need to cut these into 1.25 inch squares. So I am going to, and you should get 4 out of this, and that will be enough for all 4 cards. With just a little bit left over. You'll just have a little bit left over. So we'll put these aside and cut our last 2. So now you'll have all your squares. And you'll also find out how well you cut. I have one piece that's just a little bit wider than it should be, but it should not be a problem. One more time. 1.25 inches. Again, that is scrap. So we don't have a lot of waste, and we should be able to get, and we will get, 4 cards. So we've got all our squares cut. We've got all of our cutting done. The card base that I wanted you to cut is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. I like to score first. Let me get a piece of cardstock to show you. I'll just pull out another piece of white. So what I like to do is I like to put my score line in first. That way I don't have to go back and score 2 pieces. So I would put my paper in on my trimmer at 4 1/4 inches over here. And what I would do is I would take my scoring blade, score the paper, and then turn it to the 11-inch side, put it over at 5 1/2 because that's half of 11. Then use my cutting blade, and then when I take it out, I've got 2 card bases that are already, each of them are already scored. Okay, so that is it for the cutting. So now I'm going to bring this closer to me so that you can see me work. And let's go ahead and take one of our layers here of our cardstock. And I need one each of those squares. I want that one across from that one and that one. So what you're going to do is, I like to lay out my pieces to make sure I know I can kind of even up my borders. Now there's a label that's going to go in the center of this. So if my center isn't perfect, that's not such a big deal. Again, your cutting will reflect how this all sits, and obviously my cutting when I did these two pieces are a little bit bigger, but my label is going to sit in the middle. So that's up to you. I think because I'm picky, I'm going to look at these again on my trimmer. Working away, I usually work down at the bottom of my trimmer, but working up here so that you could see what I'm doing. Yeah, see, I'm just like a hair off. You would, that one doesn't seem too bad. It's this one right here. That, a new blade, I might be able to do this without tearing up the designer series paper too much. Let's see. Oh, it did it just fine. It just took that little bit of a shave off of there. And I'll need to remember to do that with those like squares. Oh, this is going to be so much better. I'm glad I did that. Now it looks a lot better. Can you, okay, good. It's in the camera really well. So I like to lay it out. It's better that you find you need to do a little bit of trimming before you start gluing down your pieces. So don't be in a rush. Just take that little bit of time to see what it visually looks like, and then you can glue your pieces down. So I'm just going to pick up one corner. And then lay that down. And just go all the way around your square. Putting down your pieces. Again, I'm working away from myself, so this looks a little different. I'm not standing up. Whoops, you get out of there. So I'm hoping that I'm pretty straight. Oh my goodness. Come on, glue. You're a brand new bottle, so you should not be giving me any problems. Okay, so while we're doing this, let's do one more. That way we'll do the 2 cards, and then you can go back and you can make your other 2 cards. So I'm just gonna spin here so that I can trim this up. I'm just gonna do it off camera really quick. Oh boy, these really aren't that different. Maybe it was just that one. We're going to find out. Oh yeah, see this? These are already laying down pretty good. Now, if you liked a pattern on the other side of your squares, flipping them over, that is totally doable. What in the world is that noise? Huh. It must be doing work outside. We're supposed to be getting new sidewalks because they had to tear up our yard in order to do some gas line work. So I'm hoping that maybe what I'm hearing right now is some sidewalk work. It would be so nice to have the sidewalks done before the snow flies. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's rather irritating. Oh, I want my blue dot. I want my blue flower to show, to help tie in the Night of Navy. Had some glue peeking out that I wiped off. If it stays sticky like that, I'll just use my little adhesive eraser and go back in and tidy up any adhesive once it's dry. So here we've got 2 4 patches here, that one for each card. And then, like I said, you can go back in and you can finish making the other 2 once you have the gist of what you're doing. So we've got those. I'm just going to set those up there. Now let's bring in 2 squares of the basic white that were 2 7/8, and the Designer Series paper squares that were 2 3/4. And let's glue those down. One thing that I want to add is, if you want to run your 4 patch through an embossing folder to give it that quilted look, you can do that before we start putting all of these together. I've already got one done, so I can show you the difference of what it looks like with that quilted look versus if you just used your paper. You can still make quilt cards and not need the embossing folders, dies, things like that. So don't let those kind of tools hold you back. Yes, they step up your card and they're fun and everything, but they're not a requirement. Use what you have. Okay, so here we have our background layers. Now your 4 patch is going to sit on point like this, and it gives the illusion that you have cut half square triangles out, okay? But you didn't. It's a trick. We're tricking somebody's eye to think that you did that, but you didn't. So this is what it looks like just flat. And then this is what it looked like when I ran it through the quatrefoil embossing folder. So it gives the illusion of quilting. It also tones down the colors. I think it does. I think without the embossing, the squares look brighter. It could just totally be me. But with the embossing folder, I think it helps tone color down a little bit. So you can decide what you want to do, but I would definitely do your embossing, right at this point. And then you can go ahead and do the rest of the card. Now, speaking of embossing, we had cut 4 bands. You're going to want to get those out. You can leave them plain as is if you don't have a machine, but let me show you what they look like embossed. And again, I use the Quatrefoil embossing folder. It pairs really well with the Lasting in Linen, Lovely in Linen Designer Series paper and the bundle. So here's my 2 strips that I have already run through that same embossing folder. Okay, so I've got those pieces. The stamping that I did, I need to punch out 2 greetings. I love this stamp set, and I love the punch. So we're going to make 2 birthday cards. So we're just going to flip our punch overs so that we can see the cutout. And I'm just going to line up the design, the stamp, and I'm just going to punch that out. Is that not adorable? This is my favorite set out of the annual catalog. Okay, so we now have our greetings, and we can start to assemble our first card. And this is your standard card. The other's going to be the surprise card. And since I've been working with Soft Succulent, I'm going to bring out the Sweet Sorbet, which is one of the coordinating colors. So what I want to do is I want to find my center, and I'm going to do that with my grid paper. I know this is 4 1/4 inches wide, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what we want is we want 8 squares on either side of our line, and then just half of another one. That would put us at halfway. And then I'm just going to line this, eyeball the center like this. And then to help me keep it straight, I like to take a pencil and I like to put a mark on either side of my strip here, top and bottom, so that I know where the boundaries that this strip needs to lay in. And it's hard to be perfect about it. I am far from perfect. I am more, well, I've always said it, I'm on the wonky side of things. So if I find those pencil marks and I just lay my strip within them, I'm pretty much straight. Okay, so we've got our strip down. And now what we're going to do is we are going to put this layer on point, and we're going to glue that down. Boy, they are really going to town outside. And if you have a directional design, it will be off, but when we layer the other square on top of it, you really, it breaks it up and you lose that. So don't worry too much about that. Now we've got that layer down. Now what I'm going to do with this layer is I am going to pop it up with dimensionals, and I'm going to put them just in the outside 4 corners. I've already created some bulk here. So I'm just going to put, and I'm going to use the mini dimensionals because they're thinner, or at least I think they're thinner. And I'm just going to put them in the 4 corners And this should take up the space from the bulk that I created by layering. You've got your card base, you've got your strip there, and now you've got that. So we're creating some height, and I just want this to lay nice and flat, because I am going to be adding dimensionals to my label. So now I have to bring this closer to me. I apologize, but I'm going to eyeball, making sure my half square triangles look pretty even. And then I'm going to press it down. Okay? So you can see that the dimensional, I don't know if you can see, the dimensional helped even out the bulk of the layers. Okay, so, and you can feel it. This is all feeling nice and flat. I don't have a bunch of lumps underneath. Okay, so there's that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our greeting, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the regular dimensionals on here. I love dimensionals, and I use too many maybe to some people, but I like them. Okay, so our happy birthday. Again, I got to bring this down. I'm so sorry. Just going to center that. There's the happy birthday. And then what I did was I chose the champagne rhinestones, because I thought it complemented the pale papaya color. And I'm just going to add some bling here. And I'm going to take a tiny one. Maybe put it up there. So there is our quilt card. Oops, we got to put our insides in, and we have to put our back on. Just when I'm thinking, oh, I'm done, let's move on to the fun one, the Wow Wow card. I can't believe that I've never realized what I'm going to show you, and that it's so easy. You know, sometimes I get caught up in like, okay, I want to do a fun fold, but it just seems like it's time consuming for the moment. And it's not. It is so easy. So these strips that you had left over, you can choose a strip and put it at the top or bottom on the short ones, or you can take the longer one and you will have to trim it down to 5 1/4. But you can put your inside strips in there so that you're using up your designer series paper. I'll go back and do that later. But now, remember, you had 4 backs, and you can just use the same sides as you did for your 4-patch, or you can flip them over if you like something better. I'm going to put this one on here. So we have the backing to our quilt card. You could get very creative and color block your back. Maybe cut these 4 backs down. I don't know what the math would be, but you could have a strip of each color. So for the quilters out there who have pieced backings together before, it's really cool to see how creative you can get and what geometric, I don't know if it's even geometric, but when you're piecing leftover fabric together to do your back, it can be really works of art and very creative. So like I said, if you wanted to take these 4 pieces here and cut them down into strips so that you have a strip of each color that you used on the front, that would be really, really cool also. And of course, don't forget to put your button on the back, which I forgot to punch out from my card base, but I would punch a backing to that, and remember to sign your work, okay? So that is this card. So now let me show you what we're going to do just by putting another score line in on our card base and moving this same strip around. We're going to make an easel card. Okay? So all we've done is we've taken, let me get another card base out. We've taken our card base that was like this, and we're going to score it again down the middle. So we're going to score at 2 1/8. Let me bring in my trimmer. This is how easy it is to change up your standard card base to an easel card. It's so easy. I got a piece of designer series paper. There we go. So we're going to put it back in, and we're going to put this side at 2 1/8 because 2 1/8 is half of 4 1/4. And don't use a cutting blade. Score. Fold and get your bone folder out. When you want easel cards to stand really nice, the trick is in giving your score lines a really nice, crisp fold by using your bone folder. Okay, so here's our easel card. Now all I did that I changed is I moved instead of our strip going down here, this is going to get centered on this bottom half. Okay, so let's put that down. Just going to eyeball this. So put your strip down the center of this 2 1/8 inch wide side of your card, okay? Am I missing? Okay, trying to keep up with the comments. I forget. I get so into making the card that I forget to look at comments. So, and then let's go ahead and put our back on. I think this has got really pretty contrast. So let's put our back on. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. And then open it up and let's put our insert in there. Now, when you do an easel card and it sits like this, you still have room to write and still stamp a greeting somewhere. Once you get your once you place your stopper, then you'll know what room you have for more stamping or signing your card. We're doing the exact same steps for the first card as far as like putting this all together. We're just changing things around, okay? And so when you bring in your 4-patch and you bring in your background, what you want to make sure is that this doesn't go past the fold of your card. Otherwise, it's not going to fit in your envelope. What I have found is if I put this point right down to the bottom of my strip, I'm good. I'm good. It's just a matter of then, do you want it center? Do you want it left of center, right of center? I did mine left of center. And then so that I know where not to put glue, I just faintly use a pencil, and I don't want any glue above the line. So I can put my glue below that line. And if you didn't want this to be white when the easel card stands up, you could put another piece of designer series paper on the back. So close it, put it about here. Give it a little bit of a press so it stays, and then I'm going to fold it over and make sure that I don't have any glue sneaking out the back here. This is what I mean. If you don't want this to be white, you could put another piece of designer series paper back there. You could cut a triangle or just put another square on the back and do it like you did the front here. And then I am going to, I'm not going to put my dimensionals in the four corners because then it would attach itself to the part I don't want it to. So I'm going to have to bring my dimensionals in so that they don't stick the card together in places that I don't want it to. So you got to think of those things. Okay. Let's put it like, let's put the red up here. And then I'm just gonna, I have to bring it down towards me. Again, look at your half square triangles, make sure they're pretty even. Put it down. Now, I can put my happy birthday. Where's my happy birthday? Where did happy birthday go? It's on here somewhere. There it is. Oh shoot. I wanted to use my embossed piece. Darn it all. Okay, so that's what it would look like if you did the embossing. See, this is, that way your embossing ties all in together using the same embossing folder. If I tilt this just right, maybe you can see what I mean. See the embossing? I'm trying to see if it shows up on the computer. But anyway, I meant to use that square. Darn it all. Okay. So, again, dimensionals on the back. And then we'll make our little stopper. Well, I've already got it made. I'll show you how to put it down. So, happy birthday. Bring in my bling. I'm just gonna use the same layout. Oh, let's put this one. Oh, where did I put the other one? I don't even know what I did with the other card. Oh, there it is. Let's put this maybe just right there. Okay. And now we need a stopper so that our easel card doesn't keep sliding like this. Okay. So from this stamp set, I stamped this image right here. And I fussy cutted it out. And I'm going to use that as my stopper. So it needs dimensionals on the back because we need to create some height so that it stops our card from going any further. So we're going to put dimensionals there. And then this is all a matter of preference as to how much you want your easel to stand up. but I'm just going to put it right about here. And see how it stops the card from sliding closed? It stands our quilt block up, and it really sits nicely on someone's desk. You could still put a greeting right here that ties in with happy birthday, and you could write your message up here to whoever you're gifting this to. You could put a piece of white here and do your personal message. But this is how easy it was. It was just another score line to create the easel. But this is the same, these are the same elements. We just moved them around a little bit. And so now we took a wow to a wow, because, you know, easel cards are that little extra touch. So I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, good. Hi, Patricia. Thank you. So it's just, you know, it was just a matter of, hey, Sharon, you made it. Carol's getting her hair highlighted. Oh, good for you. That is so much. I love to have my hair done. So yeah, it was just that simple, that while I'm already making this card, what if I just put another score line on it, take the time to make a little stopper, and now I have an easel card. It was that easy. So I don't know why sometimes it takes so long for a light bulb to go off for me, but it does. But I get there. I eventually get there. So all I need to do now on this one, I don't know if I would add any designer series paper to the inside. I really don't think so. I think the stopper and something stamped here or up in there is plenty. It's up to you. But these leftover pieces you can put on the inside of your cards to help use up the scraps that you had left over. But we pretty much used, you know, I'd say 90% of those 6x6 pieces of designer series paper. And, you know, we had a little bit left over. But you can create 4 cards. The cutting instructions is going to give you everything you need to make 4 of these cards. I have 2 more that I'm going to do. I have several different colors. I have the evening evergreen. If I wanted to make this more masculine, I could go with that color. I also snuck in and went to Misty Moonlight, which has been retired, what, a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I did go in and sneak over to my retired cardstock, and I really like the Misty Moonlight. It softens it, and I can still use the Night of Navy on top of it, and that would give me a masculine, here, let me show you. So this is Misty Moonlight. This is retired. But you can still put the Night of Navy on top of it and really tone it down. This now takes on, to me, the look of denim. So you could use that. And then also on the evening evergreen, it still works. It's a little darker for me, so I was thinking maybe a masculine card. So all of these colors will work. I just need to pick out which 2 I'm going to use for my last 2 cards. But, you know, just have fun with it and play. And remember to, when you're done, to share. Hi, Brenda. Oh, thank you. Hi, Paula. Doris! Oh, wow, this is a beautiful card. Thank you. Yeah, Sharon, at the beginning of the live, we did the cutting together. So go back and watch the replay because we did the cutting together. Hi, Kim. Hi, Lori. Oh, good. I'm glad you liked the project. I can't wait to see what you do because different papers are going to make this look totally different. Whether you emboss your strip or whether you don't. Whether you emboss your 4-patch, whether you don't. Maybe you want to do some embossing on your card base. I don't know. I know this group is so creative that we're going to see a lot of wow cards over in the community group. And if you haven't joined that group, if you go onto on the Chirpy Card Maker page, there's a tab that says groups. And if you click on that tab and choose Quilt Cards and More, you will be allowed in to the community group. And the creativity is off the charts over there. So I cannot wait to see whether you make Christmas cards or whatever you do with this design, with this layout. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. So please share over there. The one last thing that I want to remind you of before I sign off is that tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be putting the October barn quilt cards together. And this is what they look like. We've got sunflowers and we got a pumpkin. So this is a monthly card kit that I do. So these are the 2 barn quilts that we're going to do tomorrow night. We're going to put them together. I will reveal October's barn quilt card kit at the end of the live for putting these together. And so I will see you tomorrow night at 8:30 on the Chirpy Card Maker Facebook page to get together and put those together for the visual learners like me who just feel more confident if we're putting it together. Okay? So everyone have a very blessed day. Again, my thoughts are with everybody in the path of Ian. Please, if you have a chance, when you have a chance, let us know that you're okay. We would, because we're all thinking about you and worrying about you. So everyone, with that, I'm just going to say goodbye until tomorrow.